Good evening to all the attendees and welcome to today's webinar. Be Singular is a unique learning platform that empowers the next generation to create a real and responsible impact in the world by working with technologies of the future. We teach exponential technologies to make our next generation better placed to solve global great challenges. We also have a Be Singular Future Leaders Club, which is a by invitation club comprising of a community of young dreamers who wish to work together and help change the world. Be Singular Social, which has organized these webinars, is a non-profit entity that has been launched by Be Singular in collaboration with the Banyan, a leading child daycare center chain. Our objective is to invest our resources to help foster exceptional educational experiences and learnings for families. Today, Anoushka will be speaking on a very interesting topic, how to make the most of COVID-19 as parents. She will be touching upon different parenting styles, psychometric tests, how we can look at the entire parenting relationship as a collaborative relationship and strategies and different kind of mechanisms to becoming a better parent. It is not just for young and inexperienced parents, but for all of us who take parenting as an aspirational task and wish to become the best parent in the world. Over to you, Anoushka.
Hi, all the attendees. I'm really thankful for this effort. I'm really thankful. Uh, One second. I'm really thankful to everybody who is attending this, and especially the Be Singular and the Banyan team. This whole endeavor tells a lot about you guys. You're very futuristic in your approach and the kind of speakers that you've brought together. Uh, Before this whole scenario, we were actually not having the right direction so as to how do we spend our times during these lockdown. But these webinars have with these webinars we have something positive, something really inspirational to look forward to, and I feel really honored to be a part of this endeavor. So today I'm going to talk about how to make the most of this COVID-19 as parents. Well, although the name suggests that it is very parent-centric, but I've tried to keep it uh, for the parents in the beginning. Yes, we discuss and touch various parenting styles, the kind of collaborative effort both partners can take in this, and then we talk about the various activities that parents and can do with their children so as to empower them, so as to teach them various core values. Because values is something that we cannot teach them through moral stories only. They are something that need to be inculcated and instilled in them consistently. Right. So COVID-19 is really a stressful situation for a lot of us. If we look about children, it's really it's really stressful for them as well because they used to go in parks every day. They used to meet their friends. And similarly for parents who are either working or homemakers. So for working parents, yes, they are also missing their offices and their work. And for homemaker parents, it's also stressful that they are connected and they do not necessarily get any rest of the day. But again, we are here to make the most of it through this slides. Chalo. How to react in this dire situation. So today we going forward with this slide, we're gonna firstly focus at how to stay safe during this, and we really need to stay safe and ensure that our families are safe, and staying at home we really need to ensure that our communities are safe. And this COVID-19 thing has really focused is really important that we shift our perspective from fear mindset to growth mindset. As we know, the coronavirus has really shaken up the world, but it is up to us on how to we react and how we come out as more strong and as more resilient, because that's what we have control upon. We have controls upon our own reactions. So as we suggested, as I started with the parenting styles, we're gonna first touch upon that and the various activities, and lastly, we're gonna discuss about one habit that is really essential to growth of both parents and children. So let's get started. So parenting style refers to the combinations of tools and strategies that we use as a parent to raise our children. To this, they are more or less grouped in four categories basis upon their common behaviors with their children. So first of all, you might be thinking that why do we discuss this in the first place? Because if we have hands-on experience in something, does not necessarily mean that we are able to perform in the best way every time. And there are situations where uh, we rely upon a style which is not suitable to a child's growth or development. Because researches have happened and we've come out on a common result that the style really impacts child's growth and development from the weight of the child, how much a child weighs, and to the schools to the child's performance in school. It is all dependent upon the kind of parenting style. And through this, we're gonna make through this parenting, we can really make an impact and difference in child's life. So we have four styles. Basically, we have four styles, right? Uh, and they're divided on the basis of if we take love and warmth of a parent on one side of the graph, and we take the amount of freedom, the amount of control he has over the child on the other side, we can divide our parenting styles into four categories. So first one being authoritarian or dictatorship. The second one is unengaged or neglectful. Then we have permissive or indulgent. And lastly, we have authoritative and democratic style. So amongst these four styles, one really outstands everything, the style, for the parent, the love and warmth of a child, and eventually the results. So we're going to discuss them one by one. So the first style is authoritarian style. This style really focuses on discipline and obedience. A lot of structure is in this style, a lot of rules, and the child does not necessarily have any say, and which is why it is also called dictatorship. In this, children can be asked to do something without explaining the reason, without explaining a why for it. And hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello. So I can continue, right? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, you
Oh,
are.
thanks, Shweta. So the authoritarian styles, as we discussed, is more like a dictatorship approach. The parent has a lot of rules for the child, a lot of irrational expectations for them. Uh, children might fear their parents, but they might be afraid of them. But and they are really obedient, which is what the parents focus on all the time. And but that does not necessarily mean that a child will have a say, will be more individualistic in his approach, will be more independent. And by so a litmus test to know if you're an authoritarian parent or not is that if in the last couple of days your child might have asked you a reason for something, and if the answer is that I said so or I told you so, then you might really be an authoritarian parent. Uh, So children consequently, with this style, children consequently lack individuality, they lack self-worth, they tend to have a poor well-being, they really have a lot of issues. So which is why we really should not try to rely upon this style as much as others. Yes, rules are necessary, but not all the times. Then we have unengaged style. In this, it has no discipline and no warmth, which is to say that the parents are really engrossed upon in their own lives. They are tangled in their own lives and they take really zero interest in their children's. So children who have such parents, they are really expected to do everything on their own. They are supposed to learn everything on their own, be on their own completely. So parents generally who are an unengaged style parent, they either can be circumstantially like this, or there can be certain problem with them, like they can be a substance abuser, or they can be, let's say, druggist or alcoholic, something like that. Uh, well, children of such parents tend to be very socially withdrawn. They tend to be very antisocial because they have not been taught the right social skills by their parents. They do not know how to behave in a certain social situation or how to interact with their friends. Well, with that, also the worst part is that the parents do not have any sort of expectations from their child at school, and so they might just uh, admit them to the best school in the town, but they do not necessarily care if they are attending the school or not. And researchers have done and have come to a result that children with unengaged parents tend to be more, prone to social and peer pressure, and they tend to be fall in drugs or some alcoholism very early. Such parents do not necessarily provide any guidance to them, so the child has nothing to look up to. He is on his own. He explores and does everything on his own. Next, we have permissive style parent. So these parents are the ones who are almost opposite of the authoritarian style. So they really love their children so much so that they spoil them, but they do not necessarily put any sort of rules on them, and they tend to have the attitude of kids will be kids. And the more this approach really is focused at becoming friends of children rather than being a parent. So which is why the child can be really immature or lack some discipline consequently. Another example is that there are no boundaries or consequences are set for the child. So if a child is asked to do something, let's say if the child is given the task to watch a TV for an hour, if his screen time is 1 hour, the parents can really give in to their children easily. If the 1 hour is over and the child, they do not necessarily uh, have the right consequences. So the child might just say that they watch it for another hour, and the parent, rather than telling them why should they not do it, give in to their demands. Uh, so that's why, again, it is not the right way. Rules must be clear, and healthy boundaries should be set. At school, permissive parents tend to have low or no expectations again because they really love their child and give in to them easily. Well, that's for permissive parents. And now we have the fourth style, which, and also one more point, that children of permissive parents tend to be really anxious and immature because they do not know how to behave in an environment which is not conducive, which is not loving to them. They've always been around the parents who have loved and spoiled them, and they tend to act more immaturely when around another people. They lack various social skills such as cooperation or mannerisms or sharing and listening. So, which is why parents should look ahead at dealing with certain things responsibly. Then we have the fourth style, which is by far the best style as through results of researchers. It is also called democratic style or called supportive style. In this, the parents are very warm and loving, while they also know what healthy boundaries is and the necessity of having such healthy boundaries. They really create a positive relationship with their child where they can indulge with them in open dialogues, open communication model, and while they can still imply their authority whenever needed. So the boundaries are very clear in this relationship, and the child The parent have rational expectations with their child based on their behavior, based on the children's temperament and the stage of development. Everything, all things considered, authoritative parents decide uh, various things, boundaries, and the kind of love they need at a particular time. And they really modulate their behavior with every situation. Children have a say with their parents, they're actively listened to, and this gives them a feeling of importance of their views. And the parents have a long list of rules, by the way. It's not that they can be warm and loving, yet, no, yet they can also have rules. But they share with them the rules, and along with that, the reasons why why is really important with these parents. They do not just come up and say, I said so, but rather they force more, rather they tell the reasons on why of things. And such parents also have clear rules about everything, which is why, and upon breaking the rules, the child has to face consequences and punishments. Let's say for a child of 5 years, or if they are asked to play with the toys, and after playing, they really need to pack them up. A very simple thing it is to pack the things and put them back in a place. But most parents would do the things for their child, which invokes in them the feeling of entitlement later on in adult life. So such parents take into account everything and on various stages tries so hard that their children become independent and more responsible. So I've presented a couple of reasons that why should one strive to become an authoritative parent, so that the children become more responsible. They are better decisions maker because they have been involved in various decision making processes with their parent, so they know how to take rational decisions. They are independent because everything is not served to them by their parents. They know how to do stuff, unlike with unlike the case with permissive parents who really make the child feel that they're entitled. uh, Consequently, they are very warm and empathetic with the society, with the friends, everybody. They are socially secure and confident with the kind of their behavior is very confident. They are, and another thing is very specific about authoritative parents is that the children are better able to handle peer pressure because of the fact that they know they have some guidance to look up to. They can always go and rely upon their parents. So, which is why they are better able to handle peer pressure. And in adult life, they are very emotionally stable, less anxious, and have less stress. I have presented and brought to you like a couple of clips so that you can see the various styles. I'll play one style and for you to guess which style is this. And you can comment that you think whichever style is this in this video. One second, I'll just play it.
Look, Mom, I drew a picture of me landing on the moon. And look, Mom, I made a prototype of the rocket out in Macaroni. And look, Mom, I made a real rocket based on the macaroni prototype.
Uh,
Well, I hope you have by now guessed the style. You can comment the style in the comment box. Awesome. So this is unengaged style of parenting. In this, the parent has the most say. In the parent does not listen to the parents do not listen to their child or attend to their any needs, either basic or emotional ones. Well, we'll move ahead. We'll move ahead with how to raise healthy and confident child. Some ways through which we can do so. Because at the end of the day, a parent's main goal is to raise happy, healthy, and confident child. So these are some of the things that a parent can do. They can show love, warmth, and interest in your child. They can spend quality time with them regularly. They can set clear rules for safety and guidance. They can keep track of their children from time to time and whatever activities are they're doing, they're involving themselves in. And to build their self-confidence, they should praise them as often as possible. And two special things are, like, they should show respect to earn respect. They should not misbehave with children and expect them to behave nicely with them all the time. They should give them a sense of individuality by behaving and respecting them in a certain way. And the last one being, set a good example yourself. So the child really look up to your behaviors and tries to mirror them. So you really need to set a good example yourself, so as to so as they can follow your lead, and especially with substance abuse things. Moving ahead, I have created a quiz to find a dominating parenting style, because more now with all these styles you must be thinking that, yeah, you also relate to one or more styles, but your dominating style is the one that you should rely upon when you're, let's say, stressed or in hurry, or probably sad. So there's a quiz which will help you to bring out your to bring out your dominating parenting style. I'll just present a couple of questions for you to read, and you can mark A, B, C, D in your, like, on a paper, and then actually I'll present to you the answer key. So we have 10 questions that help you with finding the dominating parenting style. But I'll also share the slides, share this handout with the organizers for you to share, for you to see, so that you can personally do it again, or actually rather share it with your partners. Since parenting is really collaborative thing, I would really like to share it with you over the emails. For now, you can just do 3 questions here, and then we can send the handout. So, which of these best describes you as a parent? Option 1, I connect with my teen, but my first priority is being a parent, not a friend. Maybe I'm too hard on my teen, but she knows I love her. I like being the cool parent. I am busy and my teen is busy, so I do not see her as much as I would like. Third question, which of the following best describes your beliefs about and rules and discipline? I try to praise my teen for good behavior more than I criticize or punish for bad behavior. Teenagers are rebellious by nature. If they break the rules, the consequences should be severe enough to teach them a lesson. I spend more time threatening my teen with punishment than actually giving it. Last one being, I don't think discipline works really well. I expect my teen to monitor his own behavior and face the consequences if he makes a bad decision. Well, we have 10 questions of these nature, which we'll be sharing with you. Last one, I would like to read this one as well. So, your 16-year-old son wants to go to a party at a friend's house, and the parents will not be home most of the evening. He keeps nagging you about it, so you first hear him out and then explain the reason why you won't let him go. Tell him no and say end of discussion. Allow him to go because you trust him and his friends are all going. Let him go because he'll continue to argue about it. Well, with these 3 questions, I believe you have marked the options. And in the next slide, I'll present to you the answer key. So if you have predominantly marked all the A's, then your parenting style is an authoritative style, which is a supportive style. While if you have marked all the C's, let's say, then you have a permissive style. Or if you have marked the D's, you mostly use the unengaging style parenting. And with that said, I would move ahead with the kind of activities and that the parent and children can do collaboratively to learn. And also, I'll share these handouts with you over the email. So moving ahead, why do we want to do activities when we, in the first place, we can continue watching our news or let kids binge on whatever they like? Well, I think that activities uh, are really a great opportunity. Activities provide us really a great opportunity to learn and grow and having fun simultaneously. And as I previously mentioned, that values like team spirit, leadership skills, or social skills, they cannot be taught like with stories. They can be instilled in a child by various activities rather than just giving them a story that so and so person behaves in that way. So, which is why doing activities collaboratively is a fun, because during this time, I'm sure we are all really really interested and involved in the kind of world news that we see every day, and the kind of deaths that are happening, which are ever increasing. It really creates a lot of anxiety for most of us, for both the parents and the children. So it's a wonderful opportunity that we allot some time in a day and sit together and do something collaboratively. Now we're gonna discuss certain activities and the reasons why we should do them, and what kind of values that you're gonna teach your children through these. So read together or create some art. Why should we do it? Because reading and art both are really imaginative fields. They allow imaginations to fly. They teach the children a lot of patience, because art does not create in a very fast manner as you would just open a photograph in your camera in your or in your laptop, right? It teaches a lot of self discipline, the feeling to achieve better, to make better art, to read better books. That feeling, it improves hand-eye coordination, better motor skills, and many other things. Second and third thing are really important, because during this time, I'm sure we do not have access to our house helps. So it is an important and a really interesting time to teach our children, to involve them in household chores, or involve them in cooking. So, or just creating or awakening the master chef inside them. And I think through this endeavor, we can really inculcate the feeling of responsibility in them, and they can be asked to take charge of their lives. They can clean, they can possibly clean their rooms, the cars, or whatever, and this will help them become more responsible. Then we have cooking, right? Cooking teaches a lot of things as well, like importance of healthy food in life, budgeting money, because and since we also do not have access to outside food, and if God forbid certain situation happens and they're alone, what would they eat? So that is another thing. Fourth thing that you can do together is definitely watch TV together, but not necessarily all the news, because researchers have done, and if you continuously watch news, only news, your empathy decreases by the day. And this time you can be utilized to watch really interesting documentaries, such as you can become more knowledgeable in science, or you can read about science fiction, you can watch history, geography, and a lot of other things. Why not just let them play games? That might be another question, but I think that there's a research done by American Psychiatric Association, which has found that there is a direct relationship between aggression in kids and the kind of violent games that they play, such as Fortnite, such as PUBG, and other various games on PlayStations and devices like those. So this is a great time to teach your children to be more, to seek knowledge, to seek and learn knowledge through right platforms, through factual platforms. Next up, we can have meaningful conversations with them, like you would have with an adult. The importance of this is that you will give a sense of identity to your child. They'll understand the significance of forming their opinions, shaping them rightly, and they'll feel important. Next, we can play board games such as chess or carom or ludo or possibly monopoly, because these board games will help them to learn more about sportsmanship, team spirit, and cooperation, and they'll learn to how to interact and share, whether as a team, whether as a singular player. They will learn the importance of healthy competition, and also the ability to focus shall be improved as well. Again, the seventh thing that you can do together is maybe you can donate together, especially during this whole emergency situation, and it will teach them the importance of kindness, compassion, and sharing. Because again, these are certain skills that you cannot just preach them. You got to do it. You've got to instill emotions out of them. So which is why I think it's a wonderful time to do this and teach your children about kindness. Then lastly, I have placed speech and debate competitions. Why debate and speech competitions? Because they build essential critical thinking skills in them. A child will learn how to form logical arguments based on the given premises, or they will learn about how to communicate, how to effectively communicate, how to involve them in public speaking. And again, debate is really important because they will also learn how to take criticism constructively, and how to remain calm in the kind of environment which is not conducive, which is not conducive to their views. They have opposite views of their other, let's say, sibling, and then they have to win out in a graceful way. Well, with that activities, I have one activity that is really super important, not just for parents and not just for children. It is important for everybody, and I'll back it up with various researches so that you can relate, and so that you will find it more valuable and insightful. So we're gonna discuss reading. Reading is super important because uh, I guess I'm audible. Well, I'll continue. Hello. Well, reading is super important for young children as well as their parents, because it makes them more creative, makes them more knowledgeable. And one quote that really strikes my mind when I think about reading is that great readers make great writers make great communicators, and great communicators make great persuaders, while great persuaders make great societies. And great societies, isn't that what we're all striving for? So which is why we should all rely upon reading. Reading and its perks. So with reading, better focus and concentration is something that we will develop automatically. While if we watch TV or media, we constantly run up into the Sesame Street syndrome, which is the feeling, which is that our focus is really shifted fastly, because the kind of constant fast shots or the kind of camera angles that they use. And since there was a lot of action, our brains tend to have really less focus on the screens. And while books demand excessive focus on concentration and active imagination, you cannot just read a line by by thinking about it visually. I mean, you cannot just uh, see the word apple and not think about a red apple in your mind. So as they say, you either read something or you do not, but you cannot multitask during reading as you can with TV. You can scroll your social media whilst you're watching TV, but you cannot do that with uh, with a book. So the thing is that uh, researches have happened about average human attention span, and in 2000 it was 12 seconds. The Technical University of Denmark has backed this up, that the 12-second attention span has reduced to 8 seconds in only a couple of years, like in only 13, 14 years, while we have a span of 8 seconds, and it is 1 second lesser than the attention span of a goldfish. So we really need to focus our attention, focus and concentrate upon things. And also one more thing, you'd be surprised to know that ADHD, a very common disorder amongst young children, which is attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder, even ADHD has increased according to a survey by NHIS USA, which says that the children in 2000 had about 6% of children were diagnosed with ADHD, while approximately 11% are diagnosed with ADHD in 2016. Again, uh, who else to blame than the constantly being online or the kind of media that we are served? But again, we can better our focus and concentration if we look ahead and we start reading more and more. The second and very obvious point is that better vocabulary and communication. Uh, Language is really important in the kind of environment we live into. Since English is the lingua franca of the world, I think it is the most important skill in today's world. Having the ability to just speak your thoughts effectively, having the ability to speak, to present to somebody, be a proficient English speaker or a better communicator. Because as we previously read, that better communicators make better persuaders, and which is good, which is a win-win for everybody, for the communicator as well as the society. Third up, we have high emotional quotient or EQ. Again, according to a survey by HBR, Harvard Business Study, it revealed that EQ and critical thinking are the most essential skills in the 21st century, and these can be really bettered by reading and involving oneself in the art. So, what is EQ exactly? EQ is, the ability to identify and assess and control the emotions of firstly our own selves and others, and react to them in a constructive way. We do not just give in to emotions easily. How reading helps into that, how reading comes into play is that when we read life stories of people, whether they're real people or when we imagine stories of the fictional characters, such as Harry Potter, such as Sherlock Holmes, or anybody else for that matter, we actively involve our brains to feel what they are feeling in the book. And since I know many few I might think that TV does the same. TV also helps us to feel, but TV and media are a lot of passive engagement, while a book is a very active engagement sort of source. So highly emotional engagement is induced while we read a book. We can feel pain and sadness and happiness for our characters, and this feeling makes us more willing and ability to understand them, the feelings in real life. Now the fourth one is it prevents cognitive disorders. Again, cognitive decline happens uh, with any aging, with healthy aging, cognitive decline usually happens. But researchers have done, and it has been found that the people who read only 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day for for several years. So those people have tend to be more prone to, they're found that they're lesser prone actually to diseases like dementia or memory loss or Alzheimer's. And these can be prevented by exercising your brain, and reading is a wonderful tool to that. Additionally, a research done by Boston University have found that the lifelong readers are tend to live longer by at least 2 years more than normal people. Then we have more empathy. Yes, reading makes one more empathetic, uh, because as I previously mentioned, that reading makes us engage in a book more enthusiastically rather than just watching something. And we identify with characters. And fiction is known to be especially impactful with making people more empathetic. And as you can see, people today are becoming are lessening their empathies are lessening. Researches have happened because the reading has slowed down a lot. And if for fictions, the imaginative narratives are enough in fictions, so as to keep the reader involved and keep up the reader engaged and involve them in all their four sections of brain. Seventh, sixth, we have less anxiety and stress and better sleep. Again, so the books we read provides an escape, and they occupy four sections of the brain, right? And its imagination. So the people who involve, and a research again by Yale School of Public Health has proved that only 6 minutes of book reading can slow down heart rate substantially and can ease muscle tension substantially more, like 100% more than yoga or something else, some other activity. And if we have less anxiety and stress, that really directly is better for our sleep habits. And again, if you sleep, if you make reading a habit or a bedtime reading a habit, it will ensure uh, that you sleep on time rather than and as we know, the white screens, the white screens of our mobiles and laptops, they are effective in really really lessening our sleep ability. It makes us more knowledgeable and creative. So yes, reading is really important. Just 30 minutes a day stretches our brain muscles. So books are to mind what yoga or gymming is for our body. And since exercising the body is extremely necessary, the same way reading is super important for our brains. It forces us to think actively. It forces us to fantasize and imagine continuously, and we cannot just sit with a book in our hand and understand what the author has to say. Uh, we really need to delve in the thing. We really need to focus upon it to understand the ideas and the knowledge in the book. And it makes us more creative. And again, I would like to tell you that Elon Musk, he said that he learned building rockets from books. Yes, the Elon Musk, who is the founder of SpaceX and PayPal, he says that he learned building rockets from just books. Last one, we have distraction-free wisdom is always available. The kind of environment we have at media, we we're prone to more advertisements of products and recommendations, and which is enough to woo us and our already reduced attention span. We are more prone to watching some and learning something else and than what we are supposed to do. I mean, it must have happened with the best of us that they've gone to YouTube to search and to learn about something else, to access something else, while the recommendations wooed them into, watching something different altogether. Well, with that, since the online world is conspiring against our lessening um, our attention span. So I think books are really important for our survival, right? We really need to read and engage our minds actively, be more imaginative and creative. We really need to work upon those muscles in the brains, and especially for the effect that it has in the later healthy aging life, that we cannot actually prevent Alzheimer's or dementia, but we cannot actually cure them, sorry, but we can prevent them. We can prevent them by actively reading. And with that, just another reason to read today, because it increases our vocabulary by 50%. It stresses it lowers our stress by 68%. It lengthens our life by 2 years. And books can boost our moods and helps us relax. It impacts largely our memory and heart and lessens our anxiety. Thus, I think it is really important that you read today with your family, with your children. Everybody should read. And since COVID-19, we're all in this together, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity to grow and learn, because again, it reminds me of a wonderful quote by Charles Dickens that it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and it was the spring of hope, and it was the winter of despair. Because since this is a really critical time and we do not have much in our control, what we can do is we can look ahead and look forward to our personal growth and come out more resilient than ever before. Well, thank you. And if you wish to connect with me, or you can drop me a hi on my email, or you can connect me on my LinkedIn, which is present here, Anoushka-Sundaram. And on the right side of your screen, you can see the title and the cover of my book, which shall be out soon. It is going to be it's going to be a biography of 10 extraordinary people from a variety of domains, and it's mostly children centric so that they can learn from their stories. It's in an easily accessible manner. It's written so for the children. And I believe with this book, even you can achieve your dreams. Well, thank you.